everything I've done, there's always a little bit of something I would just like to tweak a little bit. So it's really, I'm still hunting down the great tune that I've never written. It's somewhere out there, and that's what makes me get up in the morning. I just know I can do better. It was the 80s in London. I was very fortunate to have this friend who was a well-known film composer in England, Stanley Myers. He'd written the music for The Deer Hunter, and he was constantly working. And I got the job to be his assistant, run the espresso machine, and he would teach me about the orchestra. Friends of ours had started a little movie company called Working Title Film, and so we worked on a movie called My Beautiful Laundrette, starring Daniel Day-Lewis. And so that was really my first introduction into film scoring. It sort of took off. It was this really unusual piece of filmmaking, and that was a good start. The Lion King. At first I didn't want to do it. Sometimes all the right things happen for all the wrong reasons. I didn't know how to do animation, and I thought, it's a Disney animated film, so it'll be like Fairy Tale Princess, and I kept saying, I don't know how to write Fairy Tale Princess music, and they kept saying, that's why we want you. My daughter at the time was 6 years old, and I'd never been able to take her to a premiere of any of my movies, and I thought, Dad wants to show off, so that's why I took the job. And there I was being flippant, I'm doing this movie about fuzzy animals. And suddenly I realized that the heart of the story is a child losing their father. And my father died when I was very young. Suddenly I was confronted with something. And, the fuzzy animal movie became actually very serious and very profound for me. And so, I wrote a requiem for my dad. Ridley knows that I'm useless in the mornings and I'm vulnerable because I keep musicians' hours. It's like I have a 9-to-5 job. I start at 9 in the evening and finish at 5 in the morning. So when Ridley phoned me at 9 o'clock in the morning and said, hey, do you want to do a Gladiator movie? All I could think about was men in skirts and sandals. And he went, no, Hans, it's not that sort of a Gladiator movie. It used to be in the screenplay titles Gladiator pretty much straight into the battle. And I realized one of the things that was missing, and it was missing for Ridley as well, was a female soul. There was, we talked about this idea that we needed a female voice in this. And these are the great things that happen during movies. What seems to be a major preoccupation of Chris's and mine is the idea of time and how time affects everything. If you think about the 3 Batman movies we did, Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises, it's 3 movies to you, but it was 12 years of our life. I think we managed to figure out a new way of telling those sort of stories. I've done over 100 movies and it's always been the same. I never know if it's working. I never know how it's working. Sometimes I have the instinct that I might be onto something, and sometimes you get that feeling of, ooh, it's all falling into place. The images and the sound are becoming one. I think sonically, the sound of them. Inception was, Chris had written into his screenplay this idea of these big, those horns. So it was a story point, and suddenly everybody absconded with that idea and put it into every trailer that there was. By the time we got to Interstellar, we literally sat down and went, okay, let's make a list of everything we have done and see what we're left with. You know, we've done the big brass, we've done the big drums, we've done the synthesizer stuff. And Chris said, what about church organ? And at first I went, oh, it'll sound like Frankenstein horror movies. It'll be all gothic. It was actually appropriate in a funny way, because if you think about the church organ, by the 17th century, it was the most complex machine, bit of technology ever built by man. And if you think that the most complex piece of technology was actually built to be in the service of the creation of music, that's not so bad. I just thought, yes, okay, I'm going to give this a go, how to write something which is not Gothic, but let's try to write a new vocabulary for this amazing piece of technology. And we ended up in London in this, it was a truly extraordinary place called Temple Church, recording this beast of an instrument with this amazing organist, Roger. Superhuman. While other kids were playing.